In any big tournament, everybody's got a theory, right? Who's got the momentum? Who's going to go all the way? Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We are letting the cold, hard numbers tell the story of who's most likely to make it to that final match. So, this is the big question, isn't it? With so many teams and so many potential matchups, the path to the final can look, well, pretty complicated. But thanks to some pretty amazing data, we can actually see which scenarios are statistically the most likely to play out. All right, let's get straight to the good stuff. Based on all the current probabilities, 3 potential finals have really pulled away from the rest of the pack. We're going to break them down, starting with the #1 favorite. And here it is. The single most likely scenario for the final has just over a 1 in 5 chance of happening. At 21.5%, this matchup has really emerged as the clear frontrunner. But which 2 teams are we talking about? And there you have it, South Africa taking on New Zealand. This is the pairing the data is pointing to as the most probable final. Honestly, it makes sense. Both of these teams have been absolute powerhouses, and they've positioned themselves brilliantly to make a deep run in this tournament. Now, hot on their heels is our second scenario, and it's clocking in with a really powerful 18.5% probability. This isn't some distant second, okay? This is another very, very strong contender for that championship match. It's India versus New Zealand. Now, what's really interesting here, and you probably noticed it too, is we're seeing New Zealand again for the second time. This tells us something huge. No matter who their opponent might be, the data gives them an incredibly strong chance of being in that final. They are clearly seen as one of the tournament's most resilient teams. And rounding out our top tier of contenders is a matchup with a solid 17% chance. This completes the trio that has a much, much higher probability than any other combination out there. And this one brilliantly shows off South Africa's strength as well, this time pairing them up against England. So, the key takeaway is crystal clear. Our top 3 most likely finals all feature some combination of South Africa, New Zealand, India, and England. The path to that trophy almost certainly runs through one of these 4 giants. So, now that we know what the most likely outcomes are, I think the more interesting question is, why? Turns out, these probabilities didn't just appear out of thin air. Nope, they were dramatically reshaped by a single pivotal match. This was it. This was the one. What looked like a pretty standard group stage match on paper had absolutely massive consequences. New Zealand's 5-wicket victory over Sri Lanka didn't just get them the win, it sent shockwaves through the probability models for the entire tournament. Yeah, the outcome of that one game created this incredible domino effect. It boosted the fortunes of some teams, while pretty much crushing the hopes of others. It's a perfect case study in just how quickly the whole landscape of a tournament can change. Okay, now this is fascinating. Just look at the direct impact here. The chance of a South Africa versus New Zealand final skyrocketed from 14% all the way up to 21.5%, becoming the new favorite. And then on the flip side, a potential India-Sri Lanka final saw its chances nearly get cut in half. I mean, it's a tale of 2 completely different fortunes, all stemming from a single result. The breakdown is just stark. You can see these huge jumps for the South Africa matchups, right? Their final chances against both New Zealand and England climbed significantly. And notice the common theme for the losers. Any final that involved Sri Lanka took a major, major hit. That one loss was truly a game changer. So we've seen the favorites, but what about the other end of the spectrum? In a tournament with 28, that's right, 28 total possible final matchups, some scenarios are, to put it mildly, extremely unlikely. So let me ask you this. Out of all those combinations that could possibly happen, which one has the absolute slimmest, most remote chance of actually taking place? The number is a minuscule 0.3%. That is less than a 1 in 300 chance of happening. It is the absolute definition of a long shot. And the teams involved are Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka. And there's that name again, Sri Lanka, whose chances were just so damaged by that one loss to New Zealand. For this matchup to actually happen now would require a truly extraordinary series of upsets. So all this begs the question, who's next to rise? We have a really clear picture of the current landscape, right? We've got our established favorites, we've got our long shots, but as we've just seen, that picture can be redrawn in an instant. This quote from the analysis really just sums it all up perfectly. The crucial point is that dual effect of that one game. Sri Lanka's final hopes just plummeted, while New Zealand solidified their position to become joint favorites alongside a very informed South Africa. And that leaves us with a final thought. We've just seen firsthand how one single match can completely upend every expectation. The numbers have told one story today, but another game-changing result could be waiting just around the corner. The main takeaway here, South Africa and New Zealand are the teams to beat, for sure. But in a tournament this tight, the only certainty is uncertainty.